Hi everyone, this is Andrea Christofferson. I'm doing the week 7 assignment for diversity. And this week we're answering questions that were given to us in regards to diversity. So the first question has to do with the 1997 case of University and Community College System of Nevada versus Farmer. So with this case, Farmer applied for a position in the sociology department. She was granted the position, but later found out that there was another candidate that was also granted the position along with her, who was male, and because he had the same sort of training and education that she had, he obtained a much higher rate of pay as well as a much higher rate for bonus if he were to continue on his education and obtain his PhD. So his rates that he was actually offered were a lot higher than hers. So the case was actually, she filed a complaint with the courts in regards to Equal Pay Act and discrimination. And she won. She won $40,000 in damages for violation of the Equal Pay Act. But on the looking at it in the Supreme Court eyes, I don't think that they handled that case very well in regards to they did not hear her side of the case. When you look at it from a deontological approach, they should have allowed her to state her case and state the reason why she was there and why she presented this case to the courts. Each party, whether they are right or wrong, are shown as innocent until proven guilty or until a case is proven not in their favor. So she had the right to voice her concern and her opinions on that case, and she was not in the Supreme Court. And they did rule with the lower court standing, which awarded her the $40,000. So that was my approach with her case there. I do believe that not only was she discriminated at the college level and the university level that she worked for, in regards to the other employee being paid more, but also in the court's eyes, she was discriminated against. Maybe because she was a female, maybe because she was bringing this and opening doors up that a lot of companies had kept closed for a long time with their hiring regimens and what they were actually doing. So this opened up a lot of eyes for a lot of people. The next question that we had was the Watchmark CommonTel Corporation has undergone significant changes since their case of outsourcing. And then it asks, of course, they changed hands multiple times. And based on that knowledge of the outsourcing, examine the actions taken by Watchmark and from a deontological or a teleological perspective. So with this, I believe that Watchmark's perspective, deontological, which is basically just a duty or obligation, like a moral obligation that they had to their former employees. I believe that they approached it not in a correct way. These companies that do outsource, I have worked for several that have outsourced. They tend to approach it with an open mind of, letting their employees know we're outsourcing. This is going to bring in great revenue. We're going to be able to open up other markets and be exposed to other people. And in return, they start closing departments down within the company because new management has taken over and new management wants to approach the outsourcing differently. And they have all of their own people that they have in place that they want to bring in that they think this will help advance what this company is trying to do. When that happens, a lot of people always say when upper management changes, it rolls downhill. And when management changes or corporate changes in a lot of companies, you see a lot of layoffs. You see a lot of people let go or fired from their positions. A lot of departments will close because of that. So it does take a toll on the market that you are in, depending on what you're in. I've done everything from hotel accommodations to telemarketing sales, and it happens every time. You get into a company, things are going great, and then all of a sudden things start changing in upper management, and they start outsourcing or start, having outside companies, not companies, but contractors come in to show you a different approach on what you're doing, which works great. But then they turn around and they start downsizing those departments because this contractor can actually do it cheaper and faster and in a shorter amount of time. The next question that we had was present an argument that it is easier for employees to comply with diversity legislation in Canada versus the U.S. So with this question, it was a little difficult for me because the U.S., their diversity aspect of jobs, their approach is more on a basis of numbers. How many people do we have that are African American that work for us? How many of those people are upper management or in a management role? Or, when it becomes a religious affiliation or a religious a company, volunteer groups, things like that, they start looking at, well, how many of the followers or volunteers do we have that are actually in line with our religious beliefs or are Christian or are Jewish, things of that nature. Whereas Canada is more open. They don't limit themselves to those categories and look at things in a very narrow mindset. The U.S. is all about numbers. They want so many in place in different places, whether it be management, corporate, regional, whatever. Canada looks at it, everybody across the board. We're a diverse company across the board. It's not so much of, we've got 2 here, we've got 4 there, things of that nature. So I think it is a lot easier for employers to comply with the diversity in Canada because they look at every candidate as equals. Every applicant is equal to each other. They base everything on experience and what you've done, what you haven't done, the education you've had, experiences, work-related, things you've done outside of your home or maybe done in your home. Those experiences all play a role in you being hired for a job in Canada, whereas in the U.S. it does not. The last and final question that we had for this week was kind of a funny one for me because I'm not a big TV fan. So the last question was, of course, select a source of media as outlined in exercise in media diversity. Comment on the questions listed in the textbook for the media option you selected. So, as I stated, I don't watch TV. I'm extremely busy with not only school. I am a nurse, so I work 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week as a manager, as a charge. So with that and lifestyle, and I don't watch a lot of TV. So this actually was kind of nice to sit down and watch 2 hours of primetime TV for me. I chose to do the electronic media and do the primetime TV. I did the option A, which was 2 hours of primetime TV drama. So the program that I selected, of course, was Law and Order SVU. So the SVU is Special Victims Unit. With the questions that were answered, of course, who the audience is that this program targets. I put, it's mostly opening awareness, this program is, to domestic violence, to trafficking and slavery in the U.S., along with, just violent acts of crime against people. So it is more of an awareness program than it is who they're specifically targeting. When it comes to stereotypes, I believe, of course, the show elicits the fact that many of these cases affect minorities and low income houses. So that approach to this program kind of gives you a false sense of security with things, because I'm sorry, but domestic violence, trafficking, slavery, rape, all of that can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter what class you are. It doesn't matter what sex you are or what race you are. It's open to anybody, and it can happen to anybody. So I think that approach in the stereotyping of this program is a little discriminatory in that regards. Also with the commercials. So this was a funny one for me. So the commercials, a lot of fast food commercials after this program, or in between this program with breaks. They targeted a lot of the commercials to the working class. So they would show economy cars that were for sale, your Ford Focus that gets great gas mileage, or, a Ford F-150 that has all these bells and whistles of, being able to haul around everything that you've got to do, whether it be for work or, your kids to and from sports events and hauling all kinds of gear and all this stuff. So that was kind of different to actually sit and actually watch that and really pick up on. They are focusing more towards the working class, the class that doesn't have a whole lot of time, or that may be living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of the fast food commercials were, the new menus at certain places that are anywhere from $1 to $5. So, being that diverse with the commercials. And then, of course, the focus, back on the program when it would, cut in and out and, watching it. It does. It has. I never really watched a program and sat and analyzed it in this manner with these types of questions. So to do that, it kind of was eye-opening. And the short bits and pieces I've seen when I have been at work in and out of patients' rooms and listening to what they're actually watching, or, as I'm in there giving them their meds, kind of replaying these questions in my head of, oh, this program is, gearing more towards the younger group, or gearing more towards the Y2K group, or so it does. I never approached anything that way, but they do. And that's just a short clip of the audio for the assignment for week 7, and goes along with the actual paper that had to be written as well. Again, this is Andrea Christofferson for the diversity class for week 7, and this is our assignment. Thanks.